please be glad to turn it on if you have any questions. Also, we will be pleased if you can
morning. O Allah, Lord of the implementing authority, we ask you for the safety of our religion and the welfare of our body. Make the days that we have gone through, starting with your mercy, continue with your blessing, and end it with thy forgiveness. And also, make the days that we have gone through with guidance and end with the victory of excellence. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, show us guidance and adjust our paths and ways to achieve happiness and glory. Let us listen to people who like the good things. Let us avoid doing the bad and evil things. O Allah, blesses our life in this event and gathering and prevent us from harm and unfortunate events. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you to Saudara Muhammad Aidil bin Muhammad Zaki for the recitation of Doa just now. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here today for the art of public speaking with Daphne Iking. This program is a collaborative effort between students of Bachelor of English with Communication UNISA and the English Language Society ELS UNISA. I am excited today to introduce you to our special guest, Miss Daphne Iking. She will be sharing her vast experience in public speaking and her involvement in mass media and communications. How are you, Miss Iking? I hope you are doing great in coping with the MCO.
Alhamdulillah, everyone just has to be resilient, isn't it? So I'm so glad finally we're able to be on this platform. Thank you for inviting me, guys.
Glad to hear that, Miss Iking. So now, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, a bit of introduction of our speaker for today. Miss Daphne Iking is a Malaysian television personality, an MC, and TV host. Her first appearance in the media industry was in 2003, co-hosting Ringgit Sense, a TV3 show on finance alongside Nazuddin Rahman. Now she produces her own show called Daphne on her own YouTube channel. Under the Jewel Legacy Entertainment Company, she also produces corporate videos. Not only that, ladies and gentlemen, she also holds a master's degree in screen studies and a bachelor's degree in broadcasting, film, TV, and radio. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome Miss Daphne Iking, our speaker for today, to give her insight and sharing of public speaking. Welcome, Miss Iking.
Thank you so much, Afika. Big round of applause. Let's give her a big round of applause. I don't know all of you can hear. Okay, you guys are all muted, but let's just bring some energy back into this morning. It's Monday. Tomorrow you guys have your exams. So just a little breather from all that studying, and hopefully, inshallah, I'll be able to share with you some tips on how you can command the stage, or in this case, where we are mostly going virtual, the virtual stage. All right. So my name is Daphne Iking. The introduction has already been done by the beautiful Afika, and this is what we're going to be doing today. So normally, this deck that I have, it will be at least 3 hours. So I'm going to skim through it because we only have a few minutes for this, and you guys have to just continue to go back to your respective classes or revision. I will be sharing 15 tips on being a brilliant MC, commanding the crowd, on-stage presence, and after that, if I missed out on anything, because I'm going to go like F1 macam tu, we'll have a Q&A session if you have any other further inquiries, all right? So tip number 1 is so important for you guys to know what exactly is your role as an MC, okay? A lot of events that I've seen, most of them have nailed the role, but then there are some MCs who seems to be taking the spotlight. Your role as an MC is to ensure that the energy, the flow, and the enthusiasm of the event will flow nicely. You are the facilitator of the event. You are the person that moderates the event, okay? And if there's any glitches or housekeeping rules or anything that needs to be announced, you are that person to announce all the information that needs to be projected out, okay? Because why am I placing this is sometimes you get an MC who shot sendiri sikit lah, okay? So unless the event purposely hires a comedian MC to host the show, itu lain lah sikit, because he's doing a dual role where he's doing comedy, let's say, for instance, Douglas Lim or Harith Iskandar, where they're supposed to host and also tell jokes on the side. When you see Oscars or the Grammys, you have like a comedian host where that person is supposed to do like segues, and then you've got the presenters, right? So that's a little bit different, but mostly in a lot of formal events, the event, the MC's job and role is basically to facilitate and to make sure that all the programs is conducted smoothly and just to introduce guests, etc. Okay. So tip number 2 is to focus on your audience. It's not about you. So that was what I mentioned earlier on. Kalau you shot sendiri, macam like, oh, look at me, like I'm the star. You know, you're not the star, you're the MC. You are facilitating the program so it will be smooth. Okay, so focus on your audience. Your audience is there for a reason. Be it a product launch, they want to know, oh, what is this product launch all about? Be it a wedding, oh, so and so is getting married. What's going to happen next? So you're not going to be taking the limelight off the bride and groom, for instance, right? So do focus on your audience. Tip number 3 is warming up. This is something that I highly encourage because I think some of the questions that I received from all of you includes managing nervousness and stage fright. Believe it or not, I've done this for God knows how many years. And every time I'm on the lectern, every time I go up on stage, I will say a prayer and I will have to manage my butterflies in the stomach. It does happen. And the bigger the gig or the more complicated the gig, the more nerves I get. So the best way for me to handle it is to always warm up. All right. And these are some of the tips that I do, the tricks that I actually do. Why do you warm up? You want to make sure that your energy level is up, your body is loosened up, because sometimes you're feeling a little bit tense. And then there's your mind. You want to be able to be focused, okay? Your voice as well as your breathing. So in terms of energy, kadang-kadang, I mean, just like just now where I was supposed to be in the studio by 10 a.m. setting up, and then suddenly the neighbor called and said like, oh, you've got water leaking, you know, and all these things. My son's online class is grabbing my attention like, Cik Puan, Puan Daphne tak ada, dia punya buku ni. You know, a lot is going on. So of course I'm in a limbo because I'm trying to prep myself for this, right? So of course my energy is a bit more haywired. My mind is not quite focused and it's just crazy. So I took that 5 minutes whilst Joe was preparing the tech side of things to do all these warm-ups. One was of course to slow down because my energy at that point of time was just, you know, like, oh my God, I cannot handle this right now because I have to go and speak to a bunch of wonderful students in just a bit. And all this is taking place. My helper is with the crying baby, but she's cooking at the same time. All these things crazy. Calm down. How do I calm down? I meditate. It could be different aspects for you guys. For me, I do breathing exercises. I do light yoga stretches. Some people would say a little prayer. So it's really up to you how you do it. In terms of voice, that's something very important too. Admittedly, 2-3 days ago, because I've been having quite a few training sessions, I thought our event was going to be in the evening. And I said, okay, I'm going to time it because I'm also I'm a sucker for time management. So I said, I'm going to do this, because by then my voice has been warmed up by doing all the other trainings that I do later on that I'll be doing. I found out much later that, 2 days ago, I'm like, oh my God, it's the morning. So I know I've got a morning voice and it's going to be croaky. It's going to be froggy, right? So as soon as I woke up, I started singing, whether my son or my husband really enjoys it. But that's one great way of you warming up. And what we do in theater is that, and it sounds a bit weird, and you guys are all muted, is what you guys can actually do is go do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, buruk kata buruk buat je, because you are actually warming up your vocals, okay? And another thing that I want you all to do, and you can do it, you can say it. I can see someone actually going do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, just sing it out or sing whatever song that you're familiar with. What I did in the morning was I put my phone on Spotify and sang my hearts out to 90s music just to get my voice all warmed up. Another thing is you want to be, and that's why I said I'm skimming through, because in my normal trainings, I will actually conduct breathing exercises and voice training. But very quickly, you want to be able to project your voice from your abdomen. Okay, it's not from here, because lama-lama kalau aku bercerita sampai dari pagi sampai malam ini setekak sungguh sakit. So you'll be training your voice to be projected from the tummy, and that takes a bit of skill and takes a little bit of practice. And maybe one day we can have this session again where we can deep further into this. But yes, it's always from here. If you practice yoga, if you're someone that does a lot of breathing exercises, you'll be more familiar with what I'm trying to say here. Okay. All right, so this is an introduction that I did many years ago when I actually did this presentation start. I managed to correct it the other day. And this was my introduction to Harith Iskandar when he was doing a this gig a couple of years ago. So this is what I said. I said, thank you, Prakash, because that's how I said to Afika. I'll say, thank you, Afika, for that wonderful introduction. And then you ad lib. Okay, and then I'll go, and now, ladies and gentlemen, this is an example, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, the moment that we've all been waiting for. He is known as the godfather of stand-up comedy in Malaysia. He's won the Asia's Best Stand-Up Comedian Award, awarded by 10 Asia magazine. He has been featured in Netflix original I Told You So and is the winner of Laugh Factory's Funniest Person in the World 2016. Ladies and gentlemen, here to bring Hakka Hall down. Make some noise for Harith Iskandar. So you want to build that tempo. Okay, you want to make sure that the next person that you are going to bring up to, on stage, again, remember, it's not about you. People are coming to watch Harith Iskandar. They're not going to come to watch Daphne Iking. They're going to come and watch Harith Iskandar because he's the main act. Okay, and you're gonna if you're gonna be saying something that's already so familiar, like, oh, Harith Iskandar is this, you try and find the speaker's highlights, and that requires research on your part. Okay, as an MC, sometimes we will get a script from the client, but make it your own. Okay, unless you have one client, like one particular client who made sure that I did it word by word. But most of the time, most clients are quite okay with you ad-libbing, but make sure your research is done thoroughly. Again, that's another whole different topic that I focus on in my more longer modules. Okay, but yes, make it more exciting. Okay, and if you notice, you will notice that it starts off with, thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Afika. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed what you just said there, because Prakash or Afika would have said something. I'm supposed to bounce back. That means I'm listening to Afika, or in this case, Prakash. And then I go in like, ladies and gentlemen, you're all here tonight. So create some suspense. Okay, you create some suspense. Then you create the drama about it. And finally, pom! For the lack of a better word, you orgasm with a great, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Harith Iskandar. Okay, so that's the speed and pace that you want to try and achieve. Now, make your audience feel welcome. This is tip number 4. What I normally do is, of course, I'll come in early, simply because I want to make sure that I am ready for the event. If there's any last minute changes with the client, then I am able to do so. I need that little 30 minutes, 1 hour for me to just calm down, be ready to check out the place. And most importantly is actually, if I haven't met the clients before or the key people inside who I will be bringing up on stage and stuff, I would like to have a bit of rapport with them. So I want to build my chemistry with them, right? And it's also good because then you'll know nuggets of information that you might not found in the internet. So I like to have a little chit chat with them and see if the questions are okay and if there's any discomfort, or maybe I need to re-angle my questions later on if I'm moderating a session. Again, emceeing, moderating is also another different ballgame altogether. Emceeing, moderating on virtual is another game altogether. But again, let's just skim through that. You want to make your audience feel welcome. So what I do is I'll have a chat maybe with, say, Joe Labosi is the chairman of the company that I am, that I'm going to be emceeing, right? And maybe he would just say like, oh, I baru balik ni dari golf, main golf ni semalam. So sakit belakang, maybe if it's relevant to the event that I'm hosting, now say like, okay, Datuk Sri Joe Labosi, harap-harap, you punya belakang dah okay, so they feel like, oh, they listen, they welcome me. Or even someone in the crowd who says, oh, Daphne, I'm actually here to see Harith Iskandar because, the last time I remember my father used to laugh at all his shows, but my father dah meninggal, so I feel like this is the only way to connect. Those nuggets of information that you get that are so precious. And then you can go, when you welcome the show, when you welcome everyone, you say, like, I know a lot of you are excited to see our next act for today. I actually spoke to someone who said that he's here because he misses his dad, and it brings memories to the father. And then you look at that person. You look at the person and really, really make the audience feel welcome. I think that's a great tip because you're connecting with the audience. Okay, remember, it's not about you. It's about your audience. Relate to the audience. All right. So in this case, let's say I am back on physical MC jobs, but the MCO is still looming. I've done that. There was, we've gone like MCO back to CMCO, RMCO, and then back to MCO. It's just so confusing. So in between, I've had to attend or MC a few physical MC shows, and it's just not the same because here I am, able to remove my mask, but everyone else is spaced out. Everyone's wearing a mask or a shield, and it's just so different. So I'll just say, guys, this is my first time after the MCO, MCing a physical event. It feels good, to be quite honest, to be not talking to a camera. But at the same time, I feel really, really sad that we all have to be separated so far away. Normally, you guys are nearer to me, So relate to the audience. I know it's been tough during the pandemic. The COVID-19 has taken not just lives, but livelihoods too. And I'm really, really hoping that this, so relate to them. You relate to the situation, the event, and activities or whatever that is relevant to the event so that you're closer to the audience and you're not so far behind. You're not just the Latin person talking, okay? Be an insider, not an outsider. You have to build that trust. Sometimes when you get like product launches and you've got the media there, right? You've got the media and the media is like, because I used to be a journalist and I was on the other side of the spectrum where I'm like, okay, my editor told me to come here to to cover this assignment. I don't really want to know another skin brightening product that's already like banyak dekat market ni, tapi I kena juga report kan. So then the person's just there, and I sort of know that. I guess that's my exposure being on the other side of the spectrum, right? And because I know that, and I don't want that person to come in and just not really be 50%. I mean, not 100%, and she's just giving 50% of the focus because she's got her press release anyway, and she just got to. I want it to be a fun experience for the media persons too, right? So I will address them, and that again becomes a little of a soft skill because then I would have known certain news departments or reporters by then, and I can sort of call them out or call them and say like, hey, lama tak jumpa, bernama in the house, things like that. So be an insider, not an outsider. Always make sure that they feel inclusive. Okay. Notice how my tips are always going back to the audience. Why? Because a good MC will be able to ensure that the attention of your audience is always 100% on the event. Not you, but on the event. Because some people are like, boring lah, dah lah MC dia pun tu kokek, popek, tak don't even know what she's trying to say. She's not commanding the stage well. She's like not telling us what's up next, So I'll always get personal with the audience. So don't avoid the use of third person. So what do I mean by that is like say, all right, guys, see, even I'm so used to using the yous and the those of you that it's hard for me to actually switch to avoid using the third person. But what I'm trying to say here in this tip is, you want to say like, Dato' Sri, hari tu, bukankah you bagi tahu I that we need to reposition our strategy so that and then he'll probably nod and say, so itulah sebabnya guys, kita kena buat macam ni. Betul tak Susan? Susan, hari tu kan kita orang baru, so engage with them. I think that's very important, and to be personal with them, but of course, knowing your boundaries, knowing your limitations. Keep it professional. If you know something about the Dato' Sri and you don't want to pecah lobang and drop his water face, kan? I'm actually saying all this to a group of English language students. I'm so sorry. I do a lot of mixing at the same time, simply because I think that's another tip, which is actually not here, is sometimes you want to localize it. Unless, of course, you've got an international PR company who's saying, look, like a particular client, the one that told me to stick to my script, who specifically wants you to speak English all the way, or specifically wants you to speak Chinese, Malay all the way. But I've noticed here in Malaysia, we're a bit rojak. We actually are more, what's the word for it? We are more, we feel more, people are more approachable when we are able to just localize it a little bit. So that's the reason why sometimes I will mix and put in a bit of local jargon. So in your case, if it's in Terengganu, okay, my Terengganu sucks. I'm not going to say it. But let's say I'm back in Sabah, all this while I'll be like, good evening, welcome. I'm so glad to be back in Sabah. Kalau saya tidak cakap orang Sabah macam ni, mesti orang bilang saya tambirang. They will definitely say, benipu. She knows she's Sabahan and, she's like, going shwa, 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 that's expectation. But let's say if I am going to be in Brunei, or in this case, let's say I'm going to be in Thailand, then say la sawadee kap, learn a few phrases just so that you are trying to fit in because then you're trying to make that effort to appreciate the culture of the location that you're at, okay? And that also goes with companies, because some companies have taglines or whatever. Then you try and masukkan lah. You bagi sikit. Give me a tagline, guys. Give me a tagline. Can someone unmute themselves and give me a tagline? Then I will find a way. Ideal. Because your face is there. I can see it. Give me a tagline of anything that you can remember.
Just do it.
Okay, just do it. Okay, Joe Labosi has helped you. You are safe for now. Okay, so just do it. So let's say I'm emceeing an event for Nike and their tagline is just do it, right? So I'm there with my Nike sports gear, ready to tell everyone, okay, guys, we are going to have a fantastic fitness event where we've got Joe Labosi, we've got Beyonce, we've got Michael Jackson. All of us here are going to showcase, guys, different ways of exercising. I know some of you in the crowd are a little bit skeptical because you guys haven't done any workouts for as long as 2 years since the MCO has worked out. But you know what? Just do it. Gitu. Faham? Anggap kalau boleh faham? Thank you. That means you all are listening. That means MC ni tak boring ah. Okay, Alhamdulillah. Good. Don't be script brown. That's why warming up your vocals so important. Don't be script bound. Okay, so why don't be script bound? Because it will sound very stagey. Bayangkan if I had ladies and gentlemen, I am very delighted to be inviting our next guest. And our next guest has a lot of experience doing comedy in US. In 2017, he won this. In 2019, he won this. So add a bit of, I know you can't memorize the whole thing, and sometimes when you're delivering specific names, you want to make sure, okay, especially when I have to do like your Raja punya nama yang panjang, then you have to pronounce nanti protokol bising. That one I will definitely check my script. Destination, where they've, whatever important bits that I definitely know I need to make sure it's accurate, that's there. But if the sentence that the client has given you is very formal, because they tulis ola, it's great for reading, right? It's perfect English for reading, but it's different when you're actually communicating it to the audience. It sounds very stagey. So that's where you have to come in and either do it on your own, physically change it so that it sounds more communicative, as opposed to being it so read. So it has to be like, it's like a written, spoken. You want it to be spoken English. Don't know if that makes sense. Again, I'm making this very, very fast for you all. How many minutes do I have? Faham na korang? Jahat kan? Be heard easily. Now, this is another reason why I come in early for my event. I will normally test my mic. And even though I'm not a singer, because singers have a different sound check, because they want to check the reverb lah, dia punya echo, I don't know lah, all that lah. I've seen how they've done it. But for me, I just want to ensure that, one, I am comfortable, because I prefer cordless mic. Some would put the cordless mic onto the mic stand. I always prefer that because I'm very animated. So know your style, okay? Some people prefer that because they want to be able to hold something with their two hands. It's like their blanket. For me, I like holding, this is my blanket. This is my, what do you call that? Security blanket, because I'm so animated. So when I talk, because I like to look at people, so I like using the mic and then it goes with me. So bayangkan kalau dia dekat mic stand, ataupun the one with the wire. And then I'll be doing that. So sometimes my sound will hilang just because I'm going off for a while. So again, understand your style. Not everyone prefers the cordless mic. Some prefer the lapel mic or whatever the events company or organizers has. Practice with that. and do the best that you can with it. You want to make sure that if you have, like in my case, I'm very blessed because my husband is also my manager, and he will actually go to the far end of the hall, and I'll go like, sound check 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our UNISA public speaking course. Can you hear me at the back? And he will just do that. And of course, no audience is there, because if not, audience like, oh, siapa ni, kenapa testing macam ni? But you do it at least an hour before showtime, okay? So the reason is because you want people from the back also to be able to hear you better. And it's also great because the tech guys will be able to sort of adjust the volume according to your voice, because my voice is loud. If Joe Labosi would be, like, he's here, his voice is lower. So they'll probably need to work on that. If you're at an event where there is no audio persons to help, then at least you have time to sort of adjust the volume at the console. Okay, remember to pause. Sometimes you get events where it's very echoey, okay, like malls, shopping malls. And the problem with that is it becomes very echoey. So because I talk very fast, so I have to learn. So I go like, okay, I can see, all right, this place is very echoey. I need to slow down a little bit. I am a little bit more mindful, because then I will be heard. I have to learn to pause, because it goes pause, 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 pause. And then I'll be able to convey my message accordingly. Sometimes the mic doesn't work. So you want to be able to, command the presence of the audience without screaming, but at the same time, making sure that they actually hear you. Okay, so that's another thing that I want you all to remember. Remember to pause. Also, because you need time to breathe, okay? Even for me, when I speak very laju, I have a very special technique where I'm able to still breathe so that I don't crack. My voice won't crack. My breathing will still be consistent. And this again comes with time, practice, trial and error. I've done it. Have all the important information in front of you. So sometimes, right, I will have an event where they also want me to play games with the audience, or they need me to sort of step out from either the stage or from the lectern that I am at. So I will always have at least one little paper. So I've got my script or my iPad in front of me, right? That's for my reference. But then if there are any important information, let's say nama boss ke, nama a particular thing that I'm supposed to do when I'm making my rounds at the audience, I'll have that little cue card with me. So just in case, I'll have a reference. Why do I do this? Because pernah sekali, my iPad dah lah habis battery. I don't know why. I think I left it in my handbag and it was open. And before the show, I couldn't charge it in time. And then I had to go down on stage to go and sort of mingle and do the whole thing. And I sort of forgot what was the name of the chairman. And bear in mind that I do emceeing and hosting when times were good on a daily basis. So you're constantly trying to remember your new client, the new tagline, the new information. So sometimes it gets a little bit too much. So I've got that in one little cue card just for me to carry. So it's like another security blanket in the event, like I'm talking and I'm interviewing someone in the crowd while I'm down there, but my laptop or my iPad and my notes are all on the lectern. Then at least I can say, okay, Tan Sri Joe Labosi, yes, kita sekarang nak tanya, okay, you ada apa, so you've got that. Because you can't be like carrying your whole, it doesn't look nice having the whole laptop down with you, or your iPad in that case, right? Some people prefer cue cards, but sometimes they get very thick. I like to save the environment, and I find using the iPad or the laptop much more convenient, and then I can change on the go. But I still have my security blanket where I want to hold the cue cards. Tell me if I am lambat, okay, guys? Just a bit more. Are we still doing okay on time, Afika? Great. Right, so tip number 12 is all about body language and gestures, all right? What if I actually did this whole show like this? What if I, try to explain something so exciting and so rewarding that I'm going to achieve 100,000 ringgit by next month because I did so well selling Thermomix? Would you guys believe me? What if I did this? Guys, I cannot but tell you guys just how excited I am to share more about this Thermomix business that I'm doing. It's just amazing. It's mind-blowing. The fact that I've used it for a year, and I can't believe that I've only signed up as a sales advisor today, like 2 months ago. I just found out that my bonus for this month is going to be XYZ. Can you believe it? Korang nak join tak tu team I? Jom lah, join lah team I. Lagi convincing kan? Bayangkan kalau I buat macam ni. So sometimes it takes a while for you to know what to do with your hands. Again, when you do it long enough, sorry, my earphone keep on popping out, so I have to like balik-balik pegang. It's quite distracting. That's actually quite a distracting thing if you are doing this virtually also. So I guess it's because, again, I was kelang kabut in the morning, so I need to fix this. But yes, it's very important for you to find your own style. For me, like I said, that's probably the reason why, because I'm so animated. Nanti macam ni kan, I'm like flinging my hands everywhere. Probably that's a good idea that I have the MC, the cordless mic with me. So it's sort of like, okay, at least one hand is just there, my mouth kan. So the other one is like doing, like stressing on different points, you know, like perhaps, you know, so you'll find that I've noticed one MC, ya Allah, he dah lah dia pakai pants ketat, okay? So faham lah, yeah, you all are adults. Dia sangat ketat, okay? Dan dia sangat well endowed, okay? Faham. And then dia letak kunci dia dekat the side pocket on his jeans. I don't know why he was wearing jeans for a very formal event, but never mind, to each and their own. Dia nak macam stylo, tak apa. So he wore and it was really distracting because I'm looking at him, right? And then, so he's holding his mic and he's got really tight pants and he's got keys here, right? Sorry, I'm just going to try ni. And he's jiggling. I think they're nervous kot, tak tahu. They're nervous or whatever. And that happens because I know what my nerve triggers are. My husband sort of knows like, okay, you were nervous, right? I could see it. But yeah, so he was doing that. And it was distracting because, you know, the southern region, you're just going there, you're touching and you've got like keys coming in. So it's really distracting. So the body language and your gestures is something that you want to be mindful of. I would highly recommend and suggesting that if you are doing MCing or public speaking for the first time, record yourself. Tak apa. Orang kata, nak record yourself. I say, yes, because I want to improve myself. You record yourself, look at it. Don't be too harsh on yourself because sometimes we are our worst critic. But find things that, why do I keep saying that? You know, that was mine. You know. And then you sort of are a little bit more mindful about the body language that you're presenting out there, the gestures that you're doing, or some of the words that sort of become a habit and you continue doing it. So you are more mindful in your next. Because if you don't record yourself or you don't get someone to give you constructive feedback, how are you going to improve, right? All right, tip number 13, make sure the speakers can be heard and seen and heard. So in this case, this is when you are a moderator for a show or for an event and you are just moderating and introducing the speakers. You want to also make sure that they are able to, it's normally not your job, to be honest. It should be the organizer or the tech team, and speakers should have had their tech run or their audio rehearsals with the EO, the event organizer, or the tech team. Tetapi, sebagai role seorang MC, everyone will think and blame you. Because if anything goes wrong, they'll just look at the MC. Whether it's your fault or not, kan? They'll go like, MC kenapa? Why the mic not working? So that's where you need to also be mindful, like, you know, if you know that they didn't come in for rehearsals just before you introduce them. So let's say I'm saying, all right, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be talking about the hot topic of tight jeans, whether it's a yay or a nay. And today we're going to have Zurina, Arif, as well as Alpha, who is going to be sharing their thoughts with us today. And I'm really excited because I heard that this is a very 50-50 decision. Hi, Zurina. Hi, Arif. Hi, Alpha. Assalamualaikum. How are you guys doing? All right. So they will reply lah. I'm doing fine. That is my way of saying, "Dom punya mic okay ke tak?" Sebelum I dive into the real action. All right. So you want to make sure. And then if let's say Arif macam, and I'm saying, "Oh, is there something wrong with this mic?" Aku blame lah tech guy. Kan I yang kena nanti. Blame lah dekat tech guy. I say like, oh terus Arif tutup dia punya ni terus tutup dia punya. I couldn't find Arif anymore. I think he disappeared. But yes, I'm just kidding. Okay, Arif, I'm just like looking at names that I can find here. But yes, then you will say like, I think Arif's mic's not working very well. Can we just check that before we go on with our event? Macam tu. You know, you want to make sure your speakers can be heard and can be seen. Okay, so that's one little trick that I simply do just to make sure that their mics are working. Because kadang-kadang the speakers also can be nervous masa diorang nak present diorang punya speakings. So they will accidentally switch off the mic. And I'm there at the lectern. I cannot lari dengan high heels. I naik ke atas kan. Tu kerja technical. But everyone will look at me like, why the mic not working? And I'm like, I'm not the technical guy. So that is my little tip of saying like, oh, Arif, there seems to be some problem with your mic. Can we just make sure that Arif and technical guy tu lari lah. Nak atas stage. I don't have to do anything. I just be a diva dekat lectern tu. Gitu. All right. Tip number 14, help your audience enjoy themselves and the proceedings. Sometimes you need to gauge the energy, especially if it's like a long ass boring event where they're going to be talking about numbers and really dry topics, okay? Find ways for them to still enjoy it. Again, this is another lengthy explanation on the know-hows, but you always have to sort of monitor the energy if people are falling asleep, especially kalau you dapat afternoon crowd because kita orang baru makan lunch and we Malaysians kalau kita makan macam tak there's no tomorrow, so they get a little bit sleepy, and I know that too because I have that afternoon slump, right? So address it. Maybe like, okay, guys, I see that some of you are feeling a little low in energy. What say we stand up and let's just do some little exercise. Again, it differs. If I'm doing it with a bunch of more open-minded audience, like youths, ataupun memang jenis open-minded, senang sikit lah. I want to go and say, okay, guys, up. Like it's not in the script. I'm like, up. I just want you guys to shake it all out, you know. And I'll go tech guys, you know, audio guys, boleh tak ada tak lagu shake it up dekat Taylor Swift, ada tak, okay, let's do it, everyone, let's shake it up. For instance, let's say it's a little bit more serious. It's a corporate show or we're having ministers and all the boring gets there, right? Then I'll have to figure it out a little bit differently. And again, that is another skill that takes a whole different level of hours to explain. So very quickly, how you have to be enthusiastic, because if you are bored, I mean, like there are so many times that I've done like financial punya events and I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? Can I show them my face? What the hell are they talking about? No, cannot. What I do is, because I don't really like, there was one person that I attended one emceeing workshop. And they said, fake it till you make it. And I don't really believe in that fake it till you make it because I believe in being authentic. So if I know that it's going to be a boring event, I will research the hell out of it and find something that interests me so that at least I have something that I will look forward to. And then I can be enthusiastic. I can be genuinely enthusiastic about the topic, okay? Have interesting information about the audience and the speakers. In this case, like Harith, when I gave you the example, it was only because that presentation that I had to do, I just did a presentation, I just did an MC job with Harith the day before. So that's why it was in this deck. And I know for a fact that Harith's mother had just passed away due to XYZ. And I actually, I said like, Harith, if Harith was in my show, I said like, Harith, I'm really deeply sorry to hear about your mother. I know it's very difficult for you to attend this event because we're talking about cancer, and I'm so glad that you're here to, show your support to all our cancer survivors and how we can move forward in ensuring that cancer survivors will have the means to medical access as well as support. Thank you, Harith. So things like that. Of course, I'm just talking about Harith, and he's like a well-known celebrity here in Malaysia. But, if you find someone in the audience who you can relate to or who you've got and you think it's okay for you to share to the audience, by all means, go ahead. If it's something funny, is there anything funny or odd that has happened? Then maybe you can take snippets from there. For instance, let's say during lunch when we had that break. Okay, so I've got like a whole day convention. During lunch, something happened. Maybe someone found a chicha in their bowl. Okay, and it became like a big drama. When we come back, hi guys, welcome back everybody, and thank you all for joining us this afternoon session of Mari Kita Bergerak campaign brought to you by Vinda Malaysia. I know, guys, I don't know how many of you saw the drama that took place earlier on. Oh my God, did you guys see the lizard? Gila kan? Oh, So have something that's relatable just so that you feel like, okay, it's funny, it's odd, it's weird, address it, okay? Have short activities, like I said, if you have to do a little bit of exercise or a little bit of a pop quiz or a little bit of an impromptu interview, go down like, nak tengok ni, nak tengok kalau si Norai ni, Sahira ni dengar tension ke, dia main game, Candy Crush. I don't even know what you guys play anymore. I play Candy Crush. That's like my daughters always say like, Ma, that's so like yesterday. Okay, apparently they're now with this anime Gensho, I don't know. So yes, I'm going to make sure that Noraini is paying attention to me because, you know, she seems like she was, but macam drifting away. I will go to Noraini and say, hi Noraini. So how's things been so far? You know, this is also another way where all the other audience, especially if it's an important event where they have to pay attention. You know, it'll make the other people like Arif, who has now appeared back, the Ainas and stuff like that, they'll come back and be like, okay, aku kena pay attention ni, nanti Daphne datang pergi tanya I soalan ni tau. Sometimes it's that psychology where I go to Noraini and say, Noraini, how are you feeling? Okay tak convention ni so far? Boring ke tak? And she'll jawab kan, semua dah macam, oh no, shoot. Now have to pay attention. So it's just something that wakes people up, especially again, during the afternoon slump. Or you can share funny stories about yourself. Again, depends on the appropriateness of the event, okay? And that's where it comes with to joke or not to joke. There was one event that I was brought in as a speaker. So I was not the MC, I was not the moderator, I was actually a speaker for that. And the person before me to speak had a very colorful pass, okay? Had a very colorful pass. So what the MC did before to introduce that speaker was to bring up that colorful pass. And he joked about it. I won't go into details, but it was just very kind. It wasn't something that if you know, even me who's so liberal and so free and I'm like an open book, even I would be a bit cringy or embarrassed if my speaker, the MC would introduce me that way. You know, I'm like, oh my God. So there are times when you can joke, or there are times when there are times you shouldn't be joking. All right, there must be that line. Most comedians get away with it because they're being paid to do satire or parody. But then the event calls for it. Itu pun they will be very careful. Very, very careful whether to joke or not to joke, okay? Expect the unexpected, okay? I don't know you all from where, but let me just explain to you one time. And this is the truth, okay? This is the truth. This is what happened. Expect the unexpected. I was emceeing an event for World Islamic Economic Forum in Dubai. So it was a partnership between Malaysia as well as Orang Dubai lah. And this was supposed to be a press conference between the Dubai ruler as well as our then Prime Minister, Dato Sri Najib Razak. So I went through with my client, the PR department on the salutations, making sure salutations were there, the flow of the events was there, questions, and some do's and don'ts of housekeeping. Then I remembered, I said, but I thought I saw his wife also. I thought I saw Datin Sri coming also. So is she coming? And if she is, because in Malaysian ground, if Datin Sri is on accompanying her husband, the Prime Minister, the then Prime Minister of Malaysia, you must then address the spouse lah, kan? And again, this is another important tip, guys, because when you do your salutations, you need to know your yang berhormat, the difference between yang berhormat, yang all the yang-yangs lah, okay, yang berhormat, yang berbahagia, and all that. When it says IR, how do you pronounce insigne, architect, and all that? That's very important for you to know how to do the salutations and to pronounce it correctly. So in Malaysia, the normal way would also to address the spouse if we know that the spouse is coming. Tapi ni dekat Dubai. Orang dia PR Dubai. So I said, oh, kalau macam tu, I said, do you know if Dato Sri Najib Razak's wife will be joining us for the press conference? I said, she might, but it's not important for you to talk about her salutations. We just put your Prime Minister and we shall put our ruler. Okay, said. But at the back of my mind, aku buat job ni dekat Dubai, client I Dubai. What are the chances of me doing more jobs in Dubai compared to dekat Malaysia, where that is my home base kan? just for safety, I letaklah Datin Sri punya nama depan I, information. Datin Sri Rosma. And she can be a Datin Sri when she's accompanying her husband, but she's a Datuk Sri if she's doing it alone because she's a Datuk Sri. But when she's with Datin, see, this is why the salutation is important. Benda-benda macam ni protokol you kena tahu tau. So, okay, because she accompanying, just letaklah Datin Sri, so she is the wife of the Prime Minister of Malaysia. I wanted to put that because it's a full name. So I did the whole thing. Halfway through my press conference, she is there waiting at the door. Okay. So because in my head, my client, who is the PR of Dubai, was saying tak payah mention kan. And of course, how can I mention her? Because press conference still ongoing kan. The two gentlemen talking, addressing the media. But she's staring at me. Gua takut. So what do? I found a time. I took that risk. I found, because she was staring at me like waiting. She could have just walked in, but never mind. She waited. So the two gentlemen, when I found a little breather, I said, oh, look who's here, who has joined us. I would like to welcome Datin Sri, yang berhormat, Datin Sri, whatever her name is, Rosma Mansor, the wife of Prime Minister of Malaysia. And then she waltzed in, okay? And thank God for that. Of course, my husband, who's my manager, was going like, that was not part of the script. You know, the PR person's like, what the hell? You're supposed to, why are you cutting in? I just ignored. Because after that, someone told me, the protocol person said like, nasib baik kau mention nama dia, Dev. Kalau tak, dia tunggu je dekat door tu, tunggu you ni. Because she's so used to that. She's very used to that. And she's like blocking, you know, because she won't come in unless that happens, because that's just how it is. You know, so I took that risk. So expect the unexpected. Sometimes you will have technical glitches and then your mic will just disappear. Or your speaker or your singer, oh my God, there's so many times a singer has done their sound check. And again, a mic for the sound check for singers are different from your MC one because they've got reverb lah, macam-macam lah. And I think if I'm not mistaken, it was Norin Aziz. Kalau tak silap, was it Norin Aziz or with Zainal Abidin? I can't remember who. Their mic suddenly just died on them. I had to take my MC mic because dah tengah ni kan, dah tengah whatever, run over there like, you know, like, pass the mic. Expect the unexpected. And then the tech guys will come and sort of figure it out and then pass the mic to him, the proper mic, once the batteries are done or whatever. So expect the unexpected. Always be on your feet. Be alert. All right? Next, commanding the stage, being brilliant, introducing speakers and thanking them. Know who your speakers are. I don't really like doing weddings simply because I like weddings to be more personal. So if they want to hire me as their wedding MC, I will have a little chit chat with the bride and groom just so that I understand a little bit more about their love story, so I can make it more personable, because this events like weddings and birthdays and stuff like that is a little bit more personal, and I like to have personal quotes or personal information so that I can pepper it into my script and it sounds a little bit more warmer, friendlier, homely, okay? Build up the enthusiasm, as I mentioned earlier on, and understand your introduction. You have to practice your introduction because the first part of your MCing is most important, most crucial. The rest, you can pandang lah all the way because no one's going to be really paying attention to you. They're paying attention to either the act or the event, the product launch or the singer. But that first part, because all eyes are on you. So you have to at least, if you can't do the whole full shebang, at least practice your first introduction. That's very important, okay? I'm going to skip all this and this because this is something that will just add your own personal comments. So this is an interview that I did with, what is his name? David Foster, okay? So he's like a well-renowned producer, music show, and he was brought in by Tony Fernandez for an Air Asia gig that I was emceeing. And then I, as opposed to just saying, oh, we've got David Foster who's produced millions of albums and worked with Babyface and yada, yada, yada. I just did my own introduction of saying, I just heard his latest album while flying Air Asia last month, and lo and behold, we are here today. So at least connected to Air Asia dengan si kawan, okay? Give them a reason to hear the next item. So you, again, remember, your role is to facilitate the event. You want to get people to be interested to continue being there. If it's like a convention, you want to let them know, all right, stay tuned, guys, because at the end of our show, we are going to be giving away 10 prizes to our 10 lucky winners. So be sure to stay tuned for that. Or it can be something as, are you guys all excited? Beyonce is coming. Yes, it's correct. Beyonce will be coming at 2 p.m. So be sure to stay tuned all the way till 2 p.m. because you don't want to miss Beyonce's sharing. All right. So make sure that they know why they are there. Another thing that I find a little bit of a pet peeve is when you introduce, I've got some MCs who say, ladies and gentlemen, for our next speaker needs no introduction. And then they bagi introduction. A bit like, huh? You say need no introduction. You just say, Daphne needs no introduction. Ladies, our next speaker needs no introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Beyonce. Of course lah, no need introduction. Beyonce, good. Tapi kalau you cakap, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker needs no introduction. She is an award-winning Grammy, blah, blah, blah. She's married to hip-hopper Jay-Z. She's got beautiful kids. She is a... Ladies and gentlemen, Beyonce, macam, kau might as well remove the needs no introduction. So please don't do that, guys. Okay? If you don't want to do any introduction because she's Beyonce, then go ahead and say, our next act, ladies and gentlemen, needs no introduction. Let's give it up for Beyonce. Terus. If you are going to give an introduction, don't put that needs no introduction. Don't be a sexist. Don't undermine the introduction with side comments. I have seen this. It has happened. I think it's very disgusting. And maybe the person doesn't have, is not very politically correct in his words or choice, or he's blur, or he really is a sexist. So be mindful about stuff like that. You know, that's why I always encourage those who I train, speakers, train MCs, to always be in the loop of what's happening around them, okay? Write your own good intros. So if you have a client who will give you a list of all the stuff that they probably found over LinkedIn or from wherever, find a way to sort of change it around so that it sounds more personal and it sounds coming from you, okay? I'm going to leave this, okay? I'm going to leave this because it's not really... Okay, remember to thank your speakers. Let's say if you are moderating a show and the speakers has just completed their presentation, remember to always thank them because I think that's very important. And thank them by also ad-libbing a little bit of information that you've gathered. Some of this, you can summarize some of the important information that he's highlighted or she's highlighted, and at least that person feels like, oh, okay, she was actually paying attention to me. Oh, great, she understands that. Or play a joke a bit, you know, play a joke like, oh, I didn't know that ducks can actually do that. Oh my God, I learned so much from you, Professor. Thank you. All right. Okay, on stage, you need to dress the part, you know. That's why I said if you're wearing jeans and stuff like that, it's okay if it's an informal event. Unfortunately, you really do represent the brand or the company that you are speaking for. So you want to make sure that you are dressed accordingly. I know of one person who is beautiful, she's articulate and everything. Maybe the client was not, did not inform her about the attire. I normally will ask my client, is there any particular color code? Is there any particular dress code or whatever, or theme that you want me to come in? I always ask in advance. So that'll be a good thing for you, practice for you to do the same thing too. Because what happened was she came in a really nice black cocktail dress. But it was also it was a brand that was halal, and they were selling something on something, so it was not quite dress appropriate lah. I think if I were her, I would have sort of gauged that branding of it and reflect it on my dressing lah kan. Memang dia tak pakai tudung, or she's not, you know, but she can still dress more modestly for that event. Because what happened next was the client said, you have to go back and change. And she's like, I can't go back and change. Like, this event's going to start right away, right? So they actually got her an oversized blazer to wear over her shoulders. And then she found, like one of the EOs had wore leggings. So she wore leggings. And of course, when you are wearing something that is not yours, you feel a bit macam demoralized lah kan. Dah lah, macam, you know, it really kills your spirit. So dress the part, come early, do your sound check, remember to warm up, practice, smile, and always have fun. So let's go with the Q&A, guys. I think I oh, memang 3 minutes left. Sorry. Are you guys rushing for the next class?
Not really. Okay.
Okay, sorry, guys.
Thank you.
This-
Thank you very much for the interesting talk, Miss Iking. If one thing that I could take from Miss Iking, it would be being an MC is not taking the spotlight on you, rather how you engage with the audience. So now, ladies and gentlemen, if anyone has any questions, please place your questions at the Q&A box in the activity session. I'll be happy to read it out, and I am sure Miss Iking will be very pleased to answer them.
Indeed, Afika. Thank you. Ada soalan tak ada.
So while waiting for the questions, I would like to invite everyone to turn on your camera for a photography session. Thank you.
Alamak. Dah letak time masa nak make up. Okay, tak apa.
It's okay, you always look so pretty. Okay, so we're going to count. 1, 2, 3, okay? Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Another one, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And last one, 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much.
Kalau tak ada soalan, tak apa. You guys can DM me. I'm over Instagram and Facebook. It's Daphne Iking, and I would love to probably have another session with you guys if you guys are willing. Maybe we can talk about social media or something. But yeah, it's fun. If you have any questions, ada tak, Afika?
Can I ask question, Daph?
Boleh.
I'm one of your followers from Instagram.
Okay.
So looking at her presenting as if I'm watching her Insta story with her kids, especially Elon. Oh my God, adorable baby.
No, he's not adorable. Oh my God.
I'm teaching Bantu students, Daph. I'm teaching them language and linguistics. I'm focusing more on phonetics. You know how you apply your voice projection, whatnot. So Daph, my question is, what's your tips for those who you're not animated, like you're not bubbly, like you maybe their voice is kind of deep voice or low voice? What's your tips on them so that they can, start to pump up, be energetic and animated like you?
Now remember the fact that I said fake it, and I don't agree on that fake it till you make it. So my character, my personality is memang macam ni. So when events organizers choose their respective MCs, they do look at the style of that MC. So you don't have to be like Daphne Iking yang gila, animated na mampus. They would prefer to choose someone who's more subdued, a little bit more ladylike, So you should focus on your strengths. Okay, if you're not animated, but you have a good command of English, you've got acute knowledge of finance or whatever the subject is, then focus on that. Focus on that niche, But yes, when it comes to voice training, when it comes to presenting, it's not so much about changing who you are. It's just about enhancing and improving what you can. So in like voice, that can be trained. In terms of stage presence, that can be changed. But I would never change your personality. If you are someone who is a little bit more on the funnier side, then you might be, you may consider being one of those comic MCs. Or if you're someone who's more serious, then maybe you should focus on stuff that you like. Maybe it's on finance or even those dry stuff or even on gardening, whatever, and find that niche. So yeah, that would be my advice. You can train for voice and stuff like that, and it can be done by practicing and by doing trial and error. But yeah, don't change your personality. If you're not animated, you're not animated. You'll feel very lain tau, pelik.
Hi, I just want to butt in. I think Daphne does a lot of deep breathing. Deep breathing comes from yoga. Maybe you can introduce deep breathing to them, and then
So-
it helps with vocals.
All right, so of course it looks so easy, but it really helps. And this can also help you during your exams because it's going to be crazy, and especially with the MCO, there's a lot of stress and everything. So all I want you guys to do right now is just close your eyes, inhale through your nose, inhale, and exhale through your mouth. Siapa yang bau tak cuci gigi semua, then you can smell lah. Inhale again through your nose and exhale out. Really go out with a okay. Now on the third one, I want you to inhale all the way in, and then you hold for 5 seconds. I'll count down for that. And then when you lepaskan, the exhale through your mouth, I want you to imagine that your tummy is like a balloon. So when you're inhaling, the balloon is expanding. So it's, and when you're exhaling, you're imagining your tummy is actually deflating, the balloon's deflating. All right. So we're going to do that together. On inhale, hold, 3, 2, 1, and exhale the balloon out. So do that a few times. It gets a little bit giddy because you now are filling up a lot of there's a lot of oxygen going into you. So sometimes macam whoa. So that some people might get a little bit dizzy. So just be mindful about that. But that's one of the ways, a very simple, fast way of you to just calm your nerves. Okay. Another thing is, and it sounds silly, it'll make you forget, because I do this all the time. It's so silly that it'll make me forget about my nerves, 1, and 2, it warms up my voice at the same time. So what I do is I go, so you know the alphabet, A, B, C, D all the way, right? So it's b, 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 k, 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 d, 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 e, because you're also training your muscles to pronounce all of that specifically. F, 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 k, k, k. So it's A, B, C, D, E all the way. Z, 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 z. Sometimes we mispronounce. So doing that, you'll be able to be mindful of the b, b, b. And when you're doing that, you're also using your tummy. So remember b, b, b. And you do that when you're there's another way where I also warm up, and it looks so funny sometimes when I'm like in my evening gown and my hair's all like all dressy with my diamonds and stuff, and I'm going at the backstage and I'm going like just moving. It really helps, guys, and it looks so funny for me at least. And people are like, what the hell are you doing? And I'm like, I'm warming up, I do yoga. Again, it might be strange because I'm like in my high heels and like, skimpy evening gown dress. And then I'm doing like a bit of stretches, but it helps because you're tense. The first thing that you notice when you're tense is always your shoulders. So you feel a little bit karaska and you feel a little bit, hunched up because you're like, the anxiety is there. So remember to unroll, to roll out your shoulders. Another thing is some people might not know how to, what to do with their hands, right? If you're someone that is familiar or prefers using the mic, or that mic has a wire so they don't have a cordless mic, but you don't know what to do with it and macam it's all over. There's another tip that I would like to, you can just, just hold on macam yala, macam chini, and then, you can just sort of, use your hands, clasp it together so it doesn't go all over the place. All right. So that's another thing that you want to do. Always make sure that your hair, okay, in this case, when you're wearing tudung sedang sikit lah. Tapi itu pun kalau you lilit, dia kena macam tadi lah I. Because I'm like still new to this, right? So I'm like, oh my God, it's all over the place, So you want to make sure that it's all comfortable, because then you'll be like me, like, oh, pegang here, pegang. It's very distracting. And the keys, yeah. Sorry, I'm just going all over the place. Now what's time now? Shit. Is it too late? Any more questions? Sorry, Salina. I hope I answered you. Good luck, Alpha.
Thank you, Miss Iking, for the lovely answer and tips, and also thank you, Madam Selina, for the questions. Ladies and gentlemen, since we are running out of time, I'm afraid that will be the first and last question for the day. So, as the saying goes, to every beginning there is an ending, and now the event has come to its end. Once again, thank you everyone for gracing our event with your presence. We truly appreciate it. On behalf of the organizing committees, I would like to apologize for the extended time. And if we have made any mistakes throughout the event, I am my duty as master ceremony for today's event. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to fill out your attendance before you leave.
Okay, fill up your attendance. Bye, guys. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
having me.
Thank you, Jo.
Have a nice day.
Good job, everyone.